Good morning and welcome to Coffee and the Word. I think the best way to go into today is to read the psalm that I want to read. The psalm, the verse of the day comes out of Psalms 126, or verse 6. But I want to read the whole psalm because I think it sets an emotion. I'll just read it. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dreamed. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy. Restore our fortunes, Lord, like streams in the Negev. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. Did you catch that there's a reminiscent beginning to this psalm? The reminiscence is, do you remember when God was doing so many awesome things for us? That the people acknowledged the Lord has done great things for them. Remember when our mouths were filled with laughter? Remember when our tongues were full of songs of joy? I remember. You ever do that? You ever just sit back and remember the good old days? A lot of us remember the good old days in kind of bitterness. Some of us remember the good old days as kind of just with a smile on our face, right? We look back and we think, wow, those were good times. What the children of Israel are doing here is they're looking back and they're remembering a time when God was showering blessings on them. They're looking back at a time when nations were jealous of them, and now they're apparently not in that situation again. They're apparently, some suggest they're in captivity here, which makes sense, right? Some suggest that they're in a famine here, which also makes sense. But I want to take it off of them for a minute. I want to talk about what you're in. You can become so focused on what was that you never experience what is. You can become so focused on what once happened, when you once felt joy, when you once felt this elation, when you once felt blessed, when you can focus on that. And if you do, there's a really good chance that you're not focusing on it as a what can be or a reminder of what God's blessings was, but instead you're focusing on it as something that's been lost. And that's what I think the children of Israel here are doing. They're looking back at a time and then they remember that the God who did it then can do it today. And so they say, restore our fortunes, Lord, like streams in the Negev. One of the things I think that we struggle with is this belief that God, who gave us that first experience that resulted in great joy and a rain of blessings, can't do it again. And so we're stuck that unless God returns to me what once was, and I know people who've lost loved ones who feel this. Like, how can I ever experience that happiness again when the one that I love is gone? People who've experienced some great illness, how can I ever experience it? People who've experienced, just relationship destruction. How can I ever? We can spend our lives believing nothing's forward, or we can do what they do here. And we can cry out to God, restore our fortunes, Lord, like streams in the Negev. Just real quick, the Negev is basically a desert. Okay? So streams and a desert. And then you listen to what they say. They say, those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Jesus says something very similar to this. He says, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Do we believe that? Do we believe that God can do great things in our lives? Let me make it clear. I love the fact that he says, tears. Sow with tears, reap with songs of joy. But your tears are not for what was once lost. Well, or for what was they are for what was once lost. But your tears shouldn't be for what's ahead. God promises that blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. There is passage after passage that reminds us that God is going to turn the tears of sorrow into songs of joy. Stop trying to go back to what once was and ask God to take you what he planned for you today. Stop focusing on the past as if you can recapture it, and start focusing on the future that God has prepared for you. I want to read it to you again. Restore our fortunes, Lord, like streams in the Negev. Those who sow with tears will reap, because of God, with songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. And basically he's saying the harvest is plentiful. I hope this blesses you. I hope that if you're in the mourning stage of your life, that you'll realize and you'll turn to God and you'll cry out so that he can restore unto you the joy that he has promised. I hope you have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been another edition of Coffee and the Word.